Hi, it's Maureen Muldoon, and we are here today on lesson 196 with A Course in Miracles. If you like these lessons, go ahead and like it and subscribe and share it with your friends. And thanks for your notes and thanks for your engagement with these lessons. It's when I first started them many years ago, I thought the goal was to complete them. And now I realize that the goal is to savor them, to just enjoy them, which is not something I have been known to do. I've been very much into multitasking or getting things done. And I hear that in a lot of, conversations I have with course students sometimes, not a lot of times, but I hear that sometimes when people think like, oh, I just want to complete the lessons. So I've been doing the lessons for over 20 years and I don't feel complete with them because every day they give me fresh baked bread. They give me a new perspective and they continue to help me to erode the ego. And so just be in the lesson that you're in for the day and do it to the best of your ability. And that's all I'll say about that. Today's lesson is, it can be but myself I crucify. When this is firmly understood and kept in full awareness, you will not attempt to harm yourself, nor make your body slave to vengeance. You will not attack yourself, and you will realize that to attack another is to attack yourself. You will be free from the insane belief that to attack a brother saves yourself, and you will understand his safety is your own, and in his healing you are healed. I could summarize that in a way that I say, like you can't go to God with a knife in your brother's back. And I know that sounds sort of gruesome, and also kind of obvious, right? It's like we, may have come from the thought system of thinking you go to, God on Sunday and then you bark at the world the rest of the week. But today, and we're at now a consciousness that's like, yeah, that does not fly, and it never did. So hopefully at this point it's pretty obvious to you that this is inconceivable, as they say in The Princess Bride. In paragraph 2 it says, perhaps at first you will not understand how mercy, limitless and with all things held in its sure protection, can be found in the idea we practice for today. It may, in fact, appear to be a sign that punishment can never be escaped because the ego, under what it sees as threat, is quick to cite the truth to save its lies. Yet must it fail to understand the truth it uses thus. But you can learn to see these foolish applications and deny the meaning they appear to have. So all those places that we sort of rationalize our hatred and our fear, those are all up for reevaluation with the Holy Spirit. There's nothing to fear. Number 3, thus do you also teach your mind that you are not an ego. For the ways in which the ego would distort the truth will not deceive you longer. So you'll start to see, you'll start to smell the truth. In David Hawkins' levels of consciousness, it says that below the level of 2000, people actually can't even discern the truth from lies. And, I've been there where I bought the lies, and I not only bought them, but I defended them. I was like, yeah, this is the truth. God only loves these people. And I'm sorry about the rest of you guys, but sorry. I mean, it's just insane, the things that we believed and actually held and fought for. How many wars are, declared in the name of God? And all of this is insane. So, and thus you will see within today's idea the light of resurrection looking past all thoughts of crucifixion and of death to thoughts of liberation and of life. Even Jesus on the cross is like, no matter how many wars you throw against me, I'm going to rise. like, sorry, like, these little wars, like, they're just such a wasteless time of you chasing your tail, because it can be but yourself you crucify. You're not crucifying me. Number 4, today's idea is one step we take in leading us from bondage to the state of perfect freedom. In the same way, we could say, you're not crucifying me. Nothing can crucify me except myself. This is so much freedom. Let us take this step today that we may quickly go the way salvation shows us, taking every step in its appointed sequence as the mind relinquishes its burdens one by one. So, what is salvation? A course says that salvation is a promise kept by God that you will return to Him at last. That's what salvation is. Basically, you're just going to sit closer to God on the bus. I don't know if God drives a bus, but on your way to God, you're going to move closer and closer and closer to God. And that's salvation, is just the promise made by God that you will move closer. And as we move closer, it's just that, what does it take? Us relinquishing all of these illusions and these things that we've held hard and fast. It goes on to say, it is not time we need for this, but it is willingness. Are we willing to take this and go like this and just sort of open it up and say, oh, maybe what I'm holding hard and fast to is preventing me from getting to God. It is not the time we need for this, but willingness. For what would seem to need 1,000 years can easily be undone, can easily be done in just one instant by the grace of God. So that's the good news. The dreary, hopeless thought that you can make attack on another and escape yourself has nailed you to the cross. Perhaps it seems to be salvation, yet it has merely stood for the belief that fear of God is real. So instead of moving closer to God, we move further from God. And what is that but hell? Who could believe his Father is his deadly enemy, separate from him and waiting to destroy his life, blot him from the universe without the fear of hell upon his heart? I mean, sort of reading it now, it's sort of funny. I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, it's so distorted that it's like, God's like, how did I get such bad PR? Like, I love you unconditionally. And we're like, that's the truth. And we're like, we can't handle the truth. Can we just like murder you and everyone else instead? That seems like a shorter road, a more comfortable road for the ego. Number 6, such is the form of madness you believe. Yeah, total madness. If you accept the fearful thought that you can attack another and be free yourself. Until this form is changed, there is no hope. Until you see that this, at last, must be entirely impossible, how could there be escape? The fear of God is real to anyone who thinks this thought is true, and he will not perceive its foolishness or even see that it is there, so that it would be impossible to question it. I mean, Jesus has been telling us this since day one. Love your brother as yourself. Do unto others as you would like it done unto you. And we have decided that there's a lot of loopholes and caveats to that statement. Well, unless they're gay, unless they're in this color skin, unless they're, from this nationality, unless they don't live in this particular country, unless they're not related to me. Like, there's so many ways that we fracture the sonship through our own, or the ego's, devices and personal preferences. And so we got to watch all that. Just got to watch all that. Wake up to the truth that all things are neutral. All things are exactly the same. Jesus says at the end of this book, make this year holy by making all things the same. And that's unity. That's sanity. So I think number 7, to question it at all, its forms must first be changed, at least as much as will permit fear of retaliation to abate, and the responsibility return to some extent to you. So it's like, you got to begin to let down your guard and question your insanity. Is this really true? Byron Katie has that amazing process of asking those 4 questions. Is this true? Is this really true? Who would I be without this truth? I don't remember the 4th question, but anyway, you can look all that up. From there you can at last consider if you want to go along this painful path. Until this shift has been accomplished, you cannot perceive that it is but your thoughts that bring you fear, and your deliverance depends on you. It all happens up here. You can't continue to change the chairs on the Titanic in order to bring you peace. You have to change it in your mind. The next step will be easy if you take this one today. From there we go ahead quite rapidly, for once you understand it is impossible that you be hurt except by your own thoughts. Like that's your big girl parachute. It's going to take you right out of hell, The fear of God must disappear. You cannot then believe that fear has cause without, and God whom you had thought to banish can be welcomed back within the holy mind he never left. Number 9 says salvation song. So this beautiful song about how God has kept this promise that you're going to return to love. Salvation song can certainly be heard in the idea we practice for today. If it can be but you crucify, you did not hurt the world, and need not fear its vengeance or pursuit. And need not fear its vengeance and pursuit, nor need you hide in terror from the deadly fear of God projection hides behind. The thing you dread the most is your salvation. The thing you dread the most is sitting closer to God. You are strong, and it is strength you want. You are free and glad of freedom. You have sought to be both weak and bound because you fear your strength and freedom, yet salvation lies in them. Every time you sit a little closer to God, you get greater liberation and greater strength. There is an instant in which terror seems to grip your mind so wholly that escape appears quite hopeless. When you realize once and for all that it is you fear, the mind perceives itself as split. And this has been concealed while you believed attack could be directed outward and returned from outside to within. It seems to be an enemy outside yourself you had to fear, and thus a God outside yourself became your mortal enemy, the source of fear. So it's only you. It's only you that you are grateful for. It's only you that you crucify. It's only you. And if we had more people taking responsibility for their internal weather, man, we would just have a world of greater peace and kindness. But, the gig is kind of up. I mean, it's so easy for the victim to blame everyone else and shame everyone else and keep scorecards on everything. So number 11 says, now, for an instant, is a murderer perceived within you, eager for your death, intent on plotting punishment for you until the time when it can kill at last. Yet in this instant is the time as well in which salvation comes. For fear of God has disappeared, and you can call on him to save you from illusions by his love. Calling him Father and yourself his Son, pray that the instant be soon. Today, step back from fear and make advance to love. There is no thought of God that does not go with you to help you reach the instant and go beyond it quickly, surely, and forever. When the fear of God is gone, there is no obstacle that still remains between you and the holy peace of God. How kind and merciful is the idea we practice. Give it welcome, as you should, for it is your release. It is indeed but you, your mind, can try to crucify. Yet your redemption, too, will come from you. So it's almost like we're just petting the cat in the right direction. Just be kind to yourself. You can't give what you do not have. And so if you're kind to yourself, you're going to be way more kind to the world. And if you continue to criticize and crucify yourself, you're going to criticize and crucify the world. I think you have to start with you. Even though you want to say well, when the world changes, then I can be kind. Well, today they're saying that's not true. You are very kind. You are very capable. And you could, experience your own salvation and sit a little closer to God. Sit a little closer to light. Sit a little closer to laughter. Sit a little closer to liberation and love. God bless. Have a beautiful day.